It's both hit.
Hey buddy, bang bang. Son of
a female dog, wolf, fox, or otter.
Fail. Luckily he hasn't cut that tree back.
Yeah.
Lucky for me.
What's up Nerfers, and welcome back to my channel, where I test beautiful looking bolt action Nerf snipers like this one, outdoors in real world conditions to bring you the results that I want to know. I'll begin with an overview, then a chrono test, then a range test and an accuracy test. Let's get started. Meet the Realm, a 3D printed blaster designed by DTB, also known as DartBros. I'm told they first discovered the world of Nerf modding from seeing Adam Savage's Long Strike build, and in their own words, they said, "Hold my beer." What they've come up with is an absolute piece of art, with the slender, true-to-life shape of what you picture when you hear the word Nerf sniper. I think it's best I rewind a bit to when I was still assembling the blaster, so that I can quickly explain how it works. Okay, so before I finish putting this thing together and then you can't see the internals anymore, I thought I'd just show you how this thing actually works. So much like a Lynx and other bullpup style blasters, the plunger tube's at the bottom half and actually fires backwards towards you. There's a U-turn at the top, which has a thread for a barrel. And then this is your bolt, which will obviously load a dart from the magazine into the chamber and seal off the back portion of the U-turn. Out of the box with this massive spring that it comes with, it should shoot around 250 FPS, I'm told. And with these two spacers, which I'm going to chuck in, it should shoot around 300. So by placing the plunger tube below the barrel, that's what allowed for such a slim profile. It also allowed them to make that plunger tube quite enormous, and out of the box it ships with a spring that'll do 250 or 300 FPS with the two included spacers. Not bad at all for a blaster that only costs $250 US. DartBros will ship these internationally out of both Hong Kong or Los Angeles, and I'll put a link to their website down below. I think there will be some other retailers down the line, so I'll update the links down below when those pop up. Using a set of fishing scales, I measured the force required to pull back the bolt with the two spacers, and it peaked at 14 kilograms right as it fully compressed. Not bad for 300 feet per second, but being bolt action, it is a little slow and heavy to pull it back. If 300 FPS and a heavy prime isn't your style, there is also a weaker 7 kilo spring included in the box, and that hits about 200 feet per second. And if 300 FPS is maybe too low for you, down the road, DTB would plan to release a metal internals kit, which will get this baby up to an incredible 400 feet per second. Now here's a pre-recorded video of the build quality. For build quality, this thing is printed in PETG, so it should be a little more sun resistant than your standard PLAs that a lot of people use for printing in Nerf. I still probably wouldn't leave it in direct sunlight in your car on a 45-degree summer day, but you could probably get away with leaving it in the boot of your car or in the shade. As for whether this thing has any flex to it at all, the muzzle brake up front has a tiny bit side to side, and that's because it uses this 3D printed peg to hold it in place, so it's quick removable. The rest of the blaster, tiniest little bit of flex side to side, but you'd get that even with an ABS injection mold blaster. Mr. Foamwork himself delivering me some darts.
Good morning. I enjoyed it.
It is a little scratchy on the prime.
It is.
Probably my only complaint, but
it feels pretty great.
I mean, there's not really a way to avoid having the scratch when it's plastic on plastic. If that was a metal part maybe, like stainless steel or something, would be smoother.
It is a fairly heavy spring.
Well, it's got the two spacers in it now, so it's hitting 300.
Might as well shoot this one now.
Yeah.
Cool.
To give it that rigidity, there's threaded rods running the entire length of the blaster, as well as plenty of bolts holding all of the pieces together. Up front, there's a detachable muzzle brake. It's held in by a U-shaped pin at the top, which would theoretically allow users to design their own muzzles instead. We'll have to see if people come up with other designs. With it removed, you can see on the barrel, I've attached one of Foamwork Adelaide's flag and armor B cars, along with the orange outer shroud. The Realm doesn't come with any rifling, but by using a 16mm outer diameter barrel, it means you can attach pretty much anything you like. The reason I chose this rifling specifically though, was that with the outer shroud attached, it fits like a glove inside of that muzzle brake, helping keep everything aligned. The barrel itself is threaded on the breech end, and Realm comes with an even longer barrel should you want to use it. I think it is a little overkill and forward thinking, I guess you could say, most likely suited to their future 400 FPS setup. Moving on from the barrel, there's a Picatinny rail segment up top for a front iron sight. One suggestion I gave DTB is to add some bolts to the rear half of it so that it sits completely flat. I've seen some of their renders of them adding that, so it should be there in the final version. Otherwise, it's not a huge downside, especially if you just use a red dot sight. On the underside of the blaster, there's a lower pick rail for a bipod. Use one of these for a +10 bonus to your accuracy roll. There's a decorative ejection port on the left side of the blaster, and as you pull back the bolt, it actually lines up with another cutout so that you can see into the breech. There's also the DTB logo on the sides, and coming down to the mag well, you can see the included mag definitely looks the part with how the base plate sits against the shell. Hitting the mag release, the included 6-round mag gravity drops out, and importantly, if I hold it next to a Worker Talon mag, you'll see it meets the spec. So for all of the testing in this video and the gameplay, I'll be using regular Worker Talon mags for the increased ammo capacity. Up top, there's a rear Picatinny rail for your sight. I'm currently using a 1 to 4 times low power variable optic on here, but when using this in actual gameplay, I swapped to a 1 times red dot. The reason for that is it just makes aiming a lot faster. Coming to the bolt, when you flip the arm up or down, it actually clicks into place. I think that's a really cool detail. The prime with 2 spacers installed hitting 300 FPS isn't overly tough to prime. If I had to pick one thing about the blaster to criticize though, it would be the scratchy sound it makes when you pull it back or push it forward to close it again. I tried adding silicone gun oil to help lube it up, but I think it's just something you can't really avoid when 3D printed plastic rubs against 3D printed plastic. Perhaps you could sand it smoother before installing, or maybe even over time it'll just wear itself smooth. I definitely don't think it's a deal breaker, and that's my only real criticism of the entire blaster. I guess there's also the fact that because it's similar to a Lynx, there's no way to deprime it other than loading in a dart and firing. Not difficult to do when you're done for the day, but easy to forget to do, and then your spring will be nice and weakened for the next time you use it. Now, just out of curiosity, there is no reason you'd ever do this in actual gameplay, and I haven't even tried this before. But does it have slam fire? Let's hold that trigger in, push the bolt forwards. Holy shit, it does. Not sure how you would ever make use of that on a bolt action, but it has slam fire. Okay, now how's the trigger pull? Let's get this cocked back. There's a tiny bit of movement. But then it's just a solid wall until it fires. I think with the lighter spring, it would probably be lighter to actually fire. So it has quite a heavy trigger to it once you get to the wall. Moving on to the stock now, this is actually fully adjustable. The dials are completely functional. Top dial adjusts the cheek rest height, while the rear dial adjusts the length. And on the bottom, there's even a flip-down adjustable rear monopod to use in combination with your bipod up front. Overall, I'm very impressed with what DTB have managed to create here, but I'm sure you're all wondering, myself included, how does it actually perform? Let's begin with the Chrono Test. Alright, for all the testing I'm using Worker Bamboos provided by Foamwork Adelaide here in Australia. Find a link to them down below. Now, let's see how this goes, eh?
302. 301. 300. 303. 299. 297. 296. 303. Pretty consistent. 294. 303. 300. 293. 302. 296. How many do we have left? One more shot. 294. And with my fancy new app, I can read it out to you. We've got an average of 298, standard deviation of 3.5. Pretty bloody consistent. But let's see how it does for maximum range. Okay guys, for the range test, I'm gonna stand against that fence over there and shoot back down the road. This is my laser rangefinder, which once I find the 5 darts, I'll stand on top of them and aim that at the reflector at the end of the road there. That'll give us the range to the darts. And yeah, I've just got 5 worker bamboos in there. Let's see how it does. Shot number 1. Shot number 2. Shot number 3. 4. And 5. Let's go find them, eh? Alright, so they've all landed around... What is this distance? 59 meters. Not bad.
Okay, so now that we know it shoots 300 FPS with a max range of 59 meters, it's time for the final test, the accuracy test.
Okay guys, I'm at 30 meters away from my 1 meter diameter target, which is 100 feet for you Americans. I've already taken a couple of shots and realized I just need to aim dead center at the target through the scope. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see how it does. Hit. 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 That one was nice and central. The other ones have been either side of it so far. Hit. Hit. There's another one, I think, straight on the bullseye. That one wasn't far off, but it was a little to the low and left. That was closer. I think that was a hit on the bullseye. Bit more to the left and slightly high. Bit high on left, but closer than the last shot. And that's all 15, just dry fired there. Overall, that's very good precision and accuracy. I did cheat and take a couple of shots before I started filming to know where I had to aim. So that's nice and centered over the bullseye, and I'd say it's probably within a 30 centimeter spread. But let's head back to the computer and confirm that for you.
I'd say that's more like a 35 centimeter spread. I was pretty close, to be honest, but that's still incredibly good and makes this worthy of being called a Nerf sniper. But after seeing how it shoots 300 FPS, goes 59 meters, and shoots a 35 centimeter spread at 30 meters, here's a clip I filmed on my thoughts after using it for some gameplay. For a Nerf sniper, I think this is the closest you can get to the look, feel, and operation of the real thing. But as a Springer to actually use in gameplay, compared to a similar FPS pump action manual Springer, I think the rate of fire is just a bit too low to be practical. Plus, the insane length of this thing is going to make it super impractical to use on any kind of close quarters field. If you're at a wide open park, it probably wouldn't be as big of an issue, but anything with obstacles is going to be way too long for you. Now that I'm home and had time to think more about it, while this definitely isn't a very war practical blaster, I think a lot of people have been waiting for something like this. For $250 US, although it does require assembly, there's a guide you can watch if you need help with that. I think if you're looking for a true Nerf sniper that looks and feels and operates the part, look no further, because this is it. DartBros said hold my beer and created this masterpiece. Now I think it's time they sat back and celebrated, because they have absolutely killed it with this one. Find it at the link down below, and I believe there will be other distributors in future, so I'll update the links as those pop up. That's all I have for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Here's 2 other videos you might enjoy, and as always, thank you very much for watching. See ya!